Coming up on Network Africa, Ethiopia threatens to withdraw from talks concerning the controversial Nile Dam. South African police arrest 31-year-old man for the murder of Sheikh Fatso Pule, whose death triggered a national outcry. Plus, a Catholic archbishop's COVID-19 so-called cure sees a rise in demand in Cameroon. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin in Ethiopia, where the foreign ministry is warning that his country might not return to the negotiation table if Egypt walks out of the current round of talks on the Nile Dam. The two countries, together with Sudan, resumed talks last week to solve the long-standing impasse on the Grand Renaissance Dam, which Ethiopia is building. Egypt fears the project will allow Ethiopia to control the flow of Africa's longest river. Ethiopia's Foreign Affairs Minister, has also accused Cairo of obstinacy. Well, let's move down to southern Africa, where a 31-year-old man has appeared in court after police in South Africa arrested him for the murder of a woman. The victim was 28 years old, Sheikh Fatso Pule, an 8 months pregnant woman whose stabbed body was found hanging from a tree last week. After her death, which triggered a national outcry, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said the culture of silence around gender-based violence had to end in the country.
And how do you feel as an uncle after seeing the person who's accused of killing your niece?
Look, it's a step in the right direction. I must applaud on behalf of the family the work of the police so far with the arrest that they have made. We preparing ourselves for a difficult journey ahead of having to relive the moments of Tsegofatso, her last moments actually on earth. But it's the journey that we as the family are prepared to travel, especially if we want to get and seek justice for Tsegofatso Pule. At this point in time, there isn't much that we can comment about with regards to the person or the suspect who has been arrested. You were in the courtroom. You saw what happened. There wasn't much that the guy said. We'll just have to wait for the next court appearance on the 24th. That's it.
Well, let's bring in our South African Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, to give us more details. Hello, Betty. Good evening.
Good evening, Layo. Thank you for having me.
Firstly, Betty, help us understand this story leading up to this man's arrest and the latest from today's court hearing on the murder.
All right. Tsegofatso had gone to visit her boyfriend, whose baby she was carrying almost 2 weeks ago. The last family member allegedly heard from her was that she was coming back home because probably they had a fight or something, but she was never seen. So about 2 Sundays ago, her body was found hanging around the Rudeport area where that court is, hanging with stab wounds and that. Of course, she didn't survive, the baby didn't survive. So during the funeral, the family members, a lot of people had to say a lot of things, and they're still trying to, the boyfriend was questioned and set free. Now, this man who has been arrested, we don't know, we're still trying to establish the link between him and the lady who has died. No one knows. The police hasn't said much, but the police is appealing to people who have more information. Probably he didn't act alone. Probably he was engaged by someone. So the court case today, he was charged with premeditated murder, which is a Schedule 6 offense, and that could give him life. And he came in crying for most of the proceeding, which didn't last long. His legs were chained. He was wearing black, of course, with the COVID mask. His face couldn't really be seen, but it's a 31-year-old man who said he wouldn't be applying for bail and that he may need legal aid. So the case has been postponed to the 24th of June, and then we'll get to hear, really, maybe he'll be able to tell people or tell the court what exactly happened, if indeed he is the person responsible for this, because we don't know that yet. We know that the police is still appealing, and then people are still trying to establish the link he has with the deceased.
All right, Betty, now, if he is convicted, what consequences is he likely to face?
Premeditated murder, you get life. Life, that means from probably 25 to the rest of your life. So it's hectic. It's a Schedule 6 offense, high up there on the ladder. So if he is found guilty, and if any other person involved in this, he will face. There's no life sentence. There's no capital punishment. There's no death sentence in South Africa. So it's life that you get.
All right, then, must be a difficult time for the family. We saw the uncle speaking there. How are the others coping as well? They say they're seeking justice for their relative.
Yes, you had political parties who came, and I guess it's doubly painful for the uncle there, Tumisang Katake, who incidentally represented someone else who was sentenced to 32 years for killing another young lady, a 23-year-old Karabo Mokwena, a case that really went viral in the country. He represented Sandile Mansue in 2018, but he got 32 years. So it's doubly painful for him. I remember at the funeral, he was saying, look, I'll never represent anyone who is responsible for this kind of thing. Now I know how her family is feeling, or how her family may have been feeling at the time. It's quite painful for the whole family. Her aunts were quite emotional, pleading with men, giving roses to please protect women instead of killing them, that if there's anything she's done, they should just forgive and protect women rather than killing them. So it's quite a difficult time. And the court process or the hearing at the court will get them to understand what exactly happened. And then relieving all that is going to be more painful as well for them.
Well, finally, Betty, this gruesome murder of Pule is a harsh reminder of the daily violence women face. We know President Ramaphosa has spoken on the matter, but what more exactly is his government doing towards the fight against gender-based violence?
Well, I guess it would be right to point out too, there's a lot of women and children. A woman appeared in court today, I think, for killing her own daughter, a little girl. Another set of men appeared for shooting 7 men in a place. It's quite violent. And then women were finding bodies in different places, men killing and burying them. So the president has listed a number of things that the government is doing, strengthening the laws against gender-based violence and increasing support for survivors, having more sexual offences courts. You have sexual offences court here in South Africa, increasing the sentences for perpetrators. A lot of people complain that some of these people who are guilty actually get light sentences. So they do the same thing all over again. The president also talked about having more training for the law enforcement officers. But he now pointed out that all these things can only have meaning, if it's supported by a cooperative society, a society that brings to an end the culture of silence over the issue of gender-based violence, or violence for that matter. A society that will cooperate with the police. He says the culture of silence must come to an end, and people must begin to support even the law enforcement agencies. When you have information, even if it's your brother or your husband, you must be able to person information, because it may not be your sibling or relative today. It may be tomorrow. So you must have a society that is willing to support all the efforts that government is doing. That's when it will have meaning, and that's when there will be change. He also talked to the youths, especially young men, to be part of this effort in order to be catalysts for change, to bring this situation to an end, at least reduce it to a minimum.
All right, then, our South Africa Bureau Chief Bessie Dibia, thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
Well, back here in Nigeria, the National Human Rights Commission and civil society organizations are asking the Yobe state government to address rape and all forms of violence against women as part of activities marking 1 week of activism against the menace. The protesters, who took to the streets of Damaturu, the state capital, explained that the increase in rape cases within the last 3 months is alarming, adding that the Human Rights Commission has received a series of complaints.
Violence against women and girls has become a hot topic recently, and conversation surrounding the issue is far from over. In Yobe State, records made available to Channels Television from sexual assault centers shows that a total of 67 cases were reported between January to May this year.
Rape is a crime. Rape is a crime. Say no to rape. Say no to rape.
The situation has prompted a campaign by the National Human Rights Commission and other groups who are advocating for policy changes to address sexual and gender-based violence in Yobe State.
A vital point we intend to achieve was on the aspect of ensuring that the issue of rape and SGBV cases is mitigated in the state, because with collaboration with the ministry, certainly we will now raise awareness on the aspect. We will equally find modalities of forming a pressure group to ensure that the perpetrators are properly prosecuted in aspect of violations or in aspect of any crime committed in respect of SGBV case.
The campaign moves to the office of the state governor, where the state government pledges its commitment to fight the menace and ensure justice for the victims.
Every state government is committed to ensuring that this pestilence that has been ongoing for some time, but that has become very acute recently, that here in Yobe State we tackle it. There will be no respite for anyone who is involved in this despicable act, and that the laws of the land will be applied if and when a person is apprehended, is caught.
There must be a change. There must be some moral guidance. There must be some moral reminders to the people. They should have the fear of God and not violate girls because they think they are vulnerable.
Yobe State had signed the State Penal Code Amendment Law in 2018, which stipulates heavy penalties for sexual offenders. When enforced, the law will help combat the scourge of sexual violence and other forms of abuse.
We begin our coronavirus coverage with the latest figures from Africa. The continent's COVID-19 cases now stands at 259,522. From that figure, 133,531 are the active confirmed cases. More than 118,000 people have recovered, and the death toll stands at over 7,000. South Africa still has the highest number of cases on the continent with 76,334. It's followed by Egypt with 47,856 cases and Nigeria with 17,148 cases. Neighboring Ghana is fourth with 12,193 cases. Then Algeria, which has seen 11,147 cases. Meanwhile, the countries with the most fatalities are Egypt with 1,766, South Africa 1,625, Algeria 788, Sudan 477, and Nigeria 455. South African opposition leader Julius Malema is calling for the coronavirus lockdown ban on alcohol to be reimposed. The Economic Freedom Fighter party leader was hitting out at President Cyril Ramaphosa's decision to reopen the economy in a speech for the virtual celebrations of South Africa's Youth Day. He says the reinstatement of the ban on alcohol should be for the protection of human life over the desire for profit. For 2 months, South Africa had one of the toughest coronavirus lockdowns in the world, with the sale of alcohol being banned. Well, still to come on the program, we'll check out a Nigerian gaming app that's helping students learn during the lockdown. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. A COVID-19 treatment made by Douala's Archbishop Samuel Kleda is in high demand in Cameroon as COVID-19 patients receive it for free. But public health experts are not able to say if the treatment is effective because no studies have been done on it.
Pediatric nurse Vanessa Defo has just returned to work in Cameroon's commercial capital, Douala, having tested positive for COVID-19 3 weeks ago. Her quick recovery, she believes, was down to a plant-based remedy developed by the city's Archbishop Samuel Kleda.
I went for a test and it came out positive. Afterwards, I went into confinement, and during that period, I was given the Archbishop's treatment. 3 weeks later, I came back to do the test, and it came out negative.
At the hospital where Defoe works, masked men and women queue in the corridors to get their hands on the treatment, which is being given away for free to those who have tested positive for the virus. Without further study, public health experts are not able to say if the remedy is effective, but Kleda claims it has cured 3,000 COVID-19 patients.
When the world is in turmoil, we need to look for a solution. That is why I said no. A virus cannot torment the entire world in this manner. We can always find a solution.
That solution is a combination of 2 products called Elixir COVID and Adsac COVID. But the Archbishop, who has practiced herbal medicine for several years, has declined to reveal what they contain. The World Health Organization has said plant-based therapies must be tested for their effectiveness and any side effects. It fears products that have not been robustly investigated could put people in danger by giving them a false sense of security, though it has said that it supports scientifically proven traditional medicine. The WHO says Cameroon is one of Africa's hotspots for the pandemic. It hit the 10,000 case milestone on Monday with 277 deaths.
Schools in Nigeria are still shut, and this has no doubt had an impact on the education of students. However, a Nigerian startup, Quizzack, is using gamification to motivate students as schools continue with online learning. They believe games will incite students to learn as they gather points.
Like several other students who have been forced to stay at home due to the coronavirus pandemic, 17-year-old Bridget transitions to online learning to prepare for her exams. But by turning to Quizzack, an app that uses gamification to motivate students, Bridget can stay on top of her lessons. Amid the school closures, Quizzack aims to show learning can be fun.
At first, when I tried the app, I did not get anything. So I was the last on the leaderboard. So I felt like for people that are writing the same exams to be at the top, so I need to do something to get to that point. So when I did it the first time, I went back to read. Then I started playing the game consistently. So majorly, the reason why I used to go there was because of the competitiveness and the information it had to offer.
Aimed at secondary school students, the app features quiz tests where users can test their knowledge in the subjects in their school syllabus, and where they can also enter competitions with other students to test their understanding. Launched in March 2019, Quizzack is the brainchild of Tade Samson and 2 other co-founders. Growing up, Tade said he struggled to learn and one day came across a TV program that showcased children studying using gamification methods, which inspired him to replicate it in Nigeria.
Quizzac was created with the goal of actually making learning fun for the students. We want more students to see learning more like learning is not an affliction, and it shouldn't be an affliction. It should be fun. It should be something like my secondary school self. We want to say, I want to learn, I want to learn, I want to learn. My secondary school self should not be saying, no, give me a book. You know, remember sometimes when I had to force us that we should read, and we'll be sleeping and we'll carry the book like this, and we're gone.
It wasn't really built for this time, but you know, we have actually put in a lot of effort. You know, we failed and then we have learned and we've moved on. So a lot has actually gone so for us to get to this stage. But you know, like more or less like, you know, we were prepared when this time actually came, and that's really gave us much more attention.
The app uses digital tickets that can be bought for between 1,000 naira to 3,000 naira, and these digital tickets can last for a month to a year. With more than 9,000 users, many of whom joined in the last 3 months due to school closures, the team behind Quizzac says an app like this could not have come at a better time. The founders also say they are working to provide more features on the app.
Just before we end the program, let's check in with the politics. In Uganda, the Electoral Commission has banned mass campaign rallies and encouraged aspiring candidates to campaign through the media. The commission says the country's general elections will go ahead in January 2021, but with strict measures to protect voters against coronavirus. For presidential candidate, pop star and lawmaker Robert Kyagulanyi, also known as Bobby Wine, his latest move towards 2021 is forming an alliance with veteran opposition leader Kizza Besigye.
Presidential aspirant, pop star and lawmaker Robert Kyagulanyi, also known as Bobby Wine, has announced an alliance with veteran opposition leader Kizza Besigye. Bobby Wine's political music has made him a sensation.
The more we fight against each other, we are delaying the change that Ugandans so desperately want. We hope that this gesture will communicate to all of you friends who want change so badly, to know that this country is bigger than your principles. This country is bigger than you as a person. This country belongs to all of us. And yes, it can only change if we put all our noble efforts together.
But the substance of the agreement was unclear, including whether the two opposition parties would field joint candidates.
I think they're getting together just for activism. All right, let's start playing politics together. I think there's been hostilities between these two camps, Bobby Wine and Kizza Besigye. Right now, I think this like, let's cease hostilities. Let's get together and see if we can put up a united front. Right now, what they're doing, I think, is purely activism.
Uganda will hold a presidential election between January the 10th and February the 8th, 2021, introducing restrictions, it said, were aimed at slowing the spread of the new coronavirus. The Election Commission chairman said the commission had banned campaign rallies and urged candidates to use media instead to get their messages to voters. Opposition parties have previously complained about restricted access to broadcast media, especially in rural areas, where they say security agencies bar them from appearing on political shows.
Let's raise our voices and say this is our country. Yeah. That's why the first call is for you to raise your voice so that people can know that there are people in this country.
In power since 1986, former rebel fighter Museveni has not confirmed whether he would run again, but the ruling National Resistance Movement NRM party has already asked him to stand.
Well, that's it on the program today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.